Hi everyone, welcome to What's New Andrew. For those of you returning, thanks very much for your support. If you're new, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to continue some of the foundational videos that we've been putting together. We're going to install Docker, Docker Compose, and Portainer to make container management much easier on your server. My name's Andrew and I'm glad you're here. Before we get started, this video does assume that you have a working homelab server or a working cloud server. Either one will work just fine. If you're not sure what that means or you don't know where to get started, that's fine. Go ahead and follow the link right here, and I've got a step-by-step guide on how to get going. Now, if you do have a working home server, then you're all set. Let's go have some fun. If you're watching this video, you probably already know what Docker is, but in case you don't, Docker is really a great way to containerize your applications. It puts all the dependencies, the libraries, everything you need in one simple package called a container that can move from OS to OS. It's independent of what the underlying operating system is, and it can easily run on Macs, Linux, Windows, wherever you have Docker installed, it can run your containers. Docker Compose takes that a little bit further as a nice tool that lets you use YAML files to build out your configuration for all of the instructions for your Docker container to run. The final one that we're looking at is Portainer. Now, Docker and Docker Compose work just fine by themselves as a command line interface. However, sometimes it's easier to be able to go in and graphically see everything that's running, be able to see what containers are started or stopped, be able to see how your volumes are running if there's any issues. Portainer lets us go in and visualize everything. So we'll walk through that, and then in some future videos, we'll have some more in-depth look at Portainer and what it can do. Now we'll go ahead with the install. First, we're going to install Docker, then Docker Compose, and finish it off with Portainer. To do all the commands, you can follow along in the description below, or you can go out to my website, whatsnewandrew.com, and on the post for this, you'll see all of the commands in there. That way you can copy and paste them without having to make any mistakes. So let's start off first. We're going to do an update. This will go out there and get the latest list of packages for us so that we know that we're getting the latest versions. Once we're done with the update, we'll go and we'll install a few other prerequisite packages. That'll let us use the apt updates over HTTPS. So we'll go ahead and pull those in. Say yes to install them. Now we're going to make sure that we're pulling from the actual Docker repository. So we're going to add the GPD key here with this command. And then following that, we're going to add the actual Docker repository to our list of apt sources. So we'll put that in there. And now whenever we do the apt update, it'll go out there to the actual Docker repository and pull in the latest versions. So for that, we'll just go out and do an apt update again. Now we simply install Docker. Docker's done, so now we go and get Docker Compose. So that easily, we've already installed Docker and Docker Compose. The next step is to install Portainer. To install Portainer, there's only two commands that you need. The first one is going to be able to create a volume where all of your data is going to reside for the container. The second one is going to actually go out there and get all the container information from Portainer, pull it in, and spin up the container so that we can go in and use it. So the first command that we're going to issue is to actually create the volume. The volume's name is Portainer_data. We'll go ahead and create that. Now with this command, we're going to actually go and download and install Portainer. So we'll do that now. If you notice during the install, it didn't have the latest resources. So it went and pulled those in and then downloaded the latest image for Portainer. So now we're ready to go. We'll just go to our IP address for this server with the port 9443, and we'll log in for the first time. In the address bar, we're going to go ahead and put the IP address and the port for our Portainer instance. Now make sure you put HTTPS because it does use self-signed certificates. So when we go there, you're going to see that it's not private. That's just because we're using self-signed certificates for this. Don't worry about it. Go ahead and hit advanced and proceed. First time you're there, you're going to have to set up a new account. So we're just going to use admin and we'll put in a password. You can choose whichever username you want. I'll just leave it as admin. And then you can choose whether you want it to share data or not. That's fully up to you. Go ahead and create user and we're there. So We can add other environments or get started. In this instance, it's standalone, so we're just going to say get started, and it'll take us to our Portainer instance. So this right here is a graphical version of how we can interface with Docker. Right here, this shows us our Docker instance on our server, shows us all the information that we need about that server, and if we click on it and go into it, we can see if we have any stacks running, any images that are downloaded, containers running, and volumes that are out there. So why is Portainer so much easier to use than the command line interface? For me, I like it because visually I can see where all of my compose files are, I can see where my volumes are, and I can get the status of everything in just a few clicks. To see how it works, we're going to go out and create a new stack, say add stack, and we're going to post our Docker compose file in here. So instead of having Docker compose files saved in the file system, we can actually save multiple ones here. We can update them, rerun the image, and have it pull down the latest. So we're going to check it out right now with Nginx Proxy Manager. We'll go through the Docker compose files and what they mean in a lot of other videos. But for now, we're just going to spin up this container, and we're going to build a simple website. We'll hit deploy stack. And to check to see if it's running, we'll go out there and put in our IP address and the port that we told it in the Docker compose file. In that Docker compose file, we told it to put the resources out in port 8003. So when we go to that, we see the congratulations site, so we know our Docker container is up and running. From here, we could go in and configure Nginx Proxy Manager and use the application. So that's a wrap for today. We learned how to install Docker, Docker Compose, and Portainer. I did a quick example of setting up a brand new stack on Portainer, but there's a lot more that we'll be able to do with Portainer as we go forward, so look out for those videos. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you have a question or any feedback, feel free to leave it in the comments section below. Also, if you have any other topics that you'd like to see, leave those there as well. You can always see what's planned for future videos on my website at whatsnewandrew.com. And if you leave comments of things you want to see, maybe I'll bump those up in priority and we can get a video out there on that. So thanks for your time. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.